All right, I'm gonna keep rocking. So I just have an example of something I was thinking about in this video. So like I was thinking, so if you can imagine, like I remember one time I was in a faith setting, and it's a leader in that setting that I referenced in a couple other videos. He was like, when you hear something, when you like, I think the word is, I learned this word as a professional driver, directive. A lot of us are looking for directive. Like when we're praying for something, we'd like a sign. A lot of people would like a sign. And you think that a sign is going to be like something beautiful, or something incredibly sophisticated, or incredibly deep, or incredibly subtle. What would be more outstanding would be something more so ordinary. Would be the deepest form of a sign or message would be something ordinary. Because imagine what would be colder, like so as I'm walking, they changed the flight patterns of like a lot of airplanes recently, I think. So they've been more of them flying over my area of the city, which I already live near an airport, but they normally don't come over this way. I think they more so go, the airplanes usually go, if you're in the main city, the main airport, a big international airport, they more so go east and west. They go out of east and west. But some of your smaller venues, like in a different region where it's still the city area, but it's outlying, where I did professional driving, they would come in from the north and the south there, like the smaller planes, and they actually had a grave mishap at that airport recently. I noticed that, I saw that online. I had seen a lot of small planes fly out of there when I was a professional driver in that area, and one of them, they had a mishap there. But you can at least, it's important to appreciate patterns. So with the airplanes, you can see the direction they're at. So normally they're going north and south, at least north right now. The jetliners. So that's significant, because something significant would have to occur to make them change, to do that something that significant of a change. Because a lot of important stuff, they do stuff the exact same way, the exact safest way usually. Important stuff, they're not trying to do anything fancy or fly off the cuff generally. But all I meant to say is, you hear this loud jet engine in the sky, and that's not that impressive because you hear a lot of booming stuff from the sky. So my that person I knew in the face setting said, when you hear directive, which is what a lot of us are looking for, it's also important to know like a term that refers to something specific that you experience, because the more grasp you have on a concept and the word that corresponds with that concept, it's been said according to Arthur Avalon that this existence is a function of something called logos, which is it can be of the highest degree of spirituality, but it doesn't have to be entirely complex. Logos is the coalescing of thought and word form, concept and verbal form, because verbal form might be, so what is the most outstanding, sublime, yet also sophisticated, grand and subtle of things would be thought, concept. But how do you actually manage thought, concept? How do you manage something abstract like thoughts? The most simple way to manage thoughts is with a word. Word is the fundamental mode of action and agency, I think, simply because that's how we manage concept. I'm not saying that's the only way you can manage like thoughts, but one of the most potent is with the word. So an example, I think that some of your outstanding words, like I'm gonna say the word Allah. For me, that's the greatest word. One of the more comprehensive words that I know of would be Chidgana, which means that I picked up from Arthur Avalon also, which means consciousness, massive, or consciousness and greatness. But I've been through a significant degree of what could feel like hell, but I know there's worse things that people have gone through. But sometimes I go back to the places where the vicinities in the groups that I experienced a lot of hell, and I wonder, how did I even sit there for 5 minutes? How did I even sit there for 1 minute, as it feels going back there now, having got to spread my wings a little bit? Is because of this word Allah, because I was saying that word in my heart when I was going through very difficult things. And if you appreciate how many different ways you can say Allah in your mind, you can say that word a lot of different ways. You can iterate that word a lot of different ways. And what might be more profound than any agency, that's the power and the intelligence that can be ascribed to that word. Part of that power, intelligence, is with you as a person, as a man, as a woman, as a child. You have a degree of what is great is you also, because you can't be anything different than what is great, because what else could exist besides what's great? What would be tolerated except what is great? You would be, and therefore you are part of what's great, which is why you are sustained and protected for and provided for. And it is your prerogative to speak as a human being. A lot of people are like, man, I'm so cool, don't talk, and these people running their mouth, and we don't talk, but that's actually your prerogative to talk, and that's one of the things that distinguishes you from the other animals that don't walk on two legs, is your very prerogative to talk. And that doesn't mean to be wasteful about it, or mean, or we're not to be wasteful about it. It doesn't pay. It doesn't. If you are wasteful, you can fall on hard times, and there's no end to how much suffering can come on hard times. So there's nothing to be wasteful about. There's nothing light about being wasteful, even in speech. But it is still your prerogative to speak as a man, because speaking is part of reasoning and thinking. That is to be a man. I think the word man corresponds with thinking in Sanskrit, according to Arthur Avalon. But this word Allah, you can say it in your heart when you're going through very difficult things, and you can say it in such a way as to communicate with yourself, which is a part of what is great. And you can manage, I think, any degree of difficulty that can be borne by a human. It can be managed with that word, Allah. But also, that word in itself, that is more so of an attitude. When you hear someone say that word, it's an attitude. I think that some people say that a lot of people would appreciate that word as masculine, but I think in the Arabic, the like that is actually, that's a feminine, like, terminating of a word. So it's actually a feminine word. I think Allah is, as much as people would have like a masculine appreciation of that word, but it's more so of an attitude in the first place. Before it's anything great, before it's the sun in the sky or anything else like that, it's a reverent attitude of supplication. And I didn't mean to make this a religious channel, but I just meant to say that we can manage a lot of things with words, as the primary means of managing anything is with word, that is logos, that is thought and concept. But according to Arthur Avalon, is that what we have as a universe, experience as a universe, is a function of thought and of concept of thought. It is consciousness. If you had to reduce this reality to, and I don't mean to say reality as that it's defined, but if you were to isolate experience to one word, I think it would be consciousness. Because what can you experience outside of being consciousness? What can be sensed by you without being apprehended by consciousness and interpreted by consciousness? And so that word chid means consciousness, I think, in Sanskrit, and Ghana means greatness or massive. But even with that, with massive consciousness, how would you manage that? How would you organize that into anything manageable with a purpose? You would need to manage it to have a purpose, because you would need economy and efficiency in order to experience something with intention. You need organization, that is economy and efficiency, and also maybe you could say a unit or an implement to manage and steer something awesome towards a particular purpose and intent. And therefore, the most fundamental means of doing so would be with word. So when they say the word was with him, that's not child's play when you say the word was with him. But according to Arthur Avalon, logos is also responsible for electricity. He can enunciate that in some of his books. So what we have as current electricity, money, currency, but deeper. I made a video talking about corresponding between the planets and what had been money, like moon money, silver and gold and copper, being alchemical properties that have to do with electric induction, and some of the eventualities and circumstances of fate in life that are influenced by some of the subtle influences of the local planetary bodies, such as the moon influencing water, the human body being largely composed of water. And an example would be like the moon's influence over the tides. That's all according to Taj Street Bay. But and the deepest sense from that standpoint, money, with or without metal corresponding to it, even our digital money and representative money is currency, first and foremost. And according to Arthur Avalon, currency, electric currency induction, is a function of logos on a deep level. If you could enunciate that would be a high degree of understanding. But what we have for currency, the different electric phenomenon, has to do with consciousness and the manipulation of consciousness. That is word, fundamentally, logos. And that doesn't have to have a religious overtone in itself. It can be appreciated in scientific terms according to Arthur Avalon. So when you speak, you can create static. And does that static work favorably or unfavorably, honestly or dishonestly? It might be another discussion, but we do more so create static when so this talking, this speaking is creating static, and that can be used.